Good morning, everyone. I'm Shweta.
And I'm Sheetal.
From College of Management, SRM. And we are delighted to welcome you all to the International Conference on Higher Education Institutes, Challenges and Solutions for Sustainable Development Goals 2022, organized by SRM
संगीत साहित्य ज्ञान स्वरूपिणी सर्वालंकार भूषिणी पोषिणी आनंददायिनी मधुर भाषिणी वाणी वरदे वाणी वरदे वाणी वरदे शारदे विद्यादायिनी कल्याणी.
Good morning. I am Ayush Bhardwaj of College of Management. So now,
good morning. Myself Setu Ashin from College of Management.
Now we shall proceed to the lighting of the lamp. I'm seeing this part. Thank you. Ayush. I request Dr. Kanta Devi Arunachalam, Dean, Center for Environmental Nuclear Research, SRM-IST, to welcome the gathering.
Good morning all, and I am so happy to invite our acting, enthusiastic VC, Registrar, Pro VC, COE for this International Conference on Sustainable Development Goals 2022. On behalf of the Organizing Committee and SRM-IST management, students and faculties, we are delighted to invite our chief guest for the inauguration, Mr. P.N. Vasudevan, MD, CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank, Chennai. We are indeed very, very happy to welcome Dr. Sultan Khalifa, the Regional Officer, Asia Pacific United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Network for Youth. He will be the best suitable person to address the younger community on SDGs. We also appreciate you, sir, for your willingness to relate your role to our conference and volunteer to be part of our conference. The committee also invite all the directors, deans, HODs, faculty members, research scholars, and the students and the press and others to this SDG Awareness Conference cum workshop. About the conference, the International Conference on Sustainable Development Goals 2022 is an awareness conference started with a motivation from our Pro Vice Chancellor, Medical, who was instrumental in organizing this conference, including all the colleges and departments under one umbrella. Thank you, sir. With your blessings, we all are here. Being a multidisciplinary unit, SRM-IST is very, very suitable to conduct this conference on the 17 SDGs. The respective departments that are related to each SDG are involved in the conference, and we have also invited the eminent speakers, both national and international, to give lectures, guide our students on the workshops on SDGs. And the major objective of our conference is to create strategies for visibility of SRM-IST campus achievements, lessons learned at national and international level as an institute contributing to sustainable development goals, and also to provide access to national and international experts in sustainable development goals to train our students and faculties through workshops and conference. Provide guidance on showcasing the work and the success story on a network platform, including the discussion forum, and also to provide guidance on implementation of digital technologies on SDG-related parameters for enhancing the zero hunger, good health, energy efficiency, water conservation, waste management, air pollution, and renewable energy, and also to make us understand how our research can contribute to the UN's Sustainable Development Goals through our SDG hackathons. So, the International Conference on SDG 22 is starting from today, that is 15th to 17th, in a hybrid mode, and today is the inauguration, and also the valedictory will be in November 17th afternoon. Both inauguration and the valedictory is going to be in the physical mode, and all the departments have organized as per their SDGs important, either online or on a physical mode, involving invited talks, workshops, discussions, and students' oral and poster presentation during the 15th afternoon to 16th full day and 17th afternoon. And the SDGs we have selected, SRM-IST have selected 10 SDGs, and the SDG 1 and 2 is being coordinated by Institute of Hotel Management on supporting and empowering the communities with a mission to end poverty. SDG 3 is on good health and well-being, coordinated by School of Public Health, and they are doing it on both hybrid mode, and it's going to be on 15th, 16th, and 17th. SDG 4 is the quality education in India. Issues and strategies is coordinated by College of Science and Humanities, and that also involves talks as well as training for the school teachers. Then SDG 5 is gender equality and women in STEM, is coordinated by ECE department. That is also on 15th and 16th through invited talks on gender equality. SDG 6, water health and sanitation, is coordinated by chemical engineering as well as clinical microbiology department. It is coordinated by Dr. Paramodda, and also this also involves speakers from various national and international forum, as well as they are conducting a workshop. SDG 17 is affordable and clean energy, conducted by EEE department. And SDG 8, evolving entrepreneurial initiatives and economic growth, is coordinated by College of Management, and they were also the in charge for both inauguration as well as the valedictory. And SDG 11 is inclusive and sustainable development in cities and communities, is coordinated by the architecture department, and that's going to be on 15th and 16th. And 17 is coordinated by Directorate of Research, which involves IISM and CENR, and the topic is revitalizing the global partnership for sustainable development. This also done through involving guest lectures as well as student presentations. Then SRM SDG Hackathon is coordinated on 16th and 17th, and it is coordinated by the Dr. Supriya Rajkumar sir as well as the Vignesh sir. And there they have selected 10 SDG problems related to SRM IST campus, and that will be solved, and the final winners are having prize money of 50,000, 30,000 and 20,000. November 17th we are having the valedictory in the afternoon from 2 to 4 by concluding remarks, reports and prize distributions. With this note, I invite all of you, including the chief guests, VC, Pro-VC, Registrar and Directors, Deans, HODs and all the students. Thank you.
Thank you for welcoming the gathering, ma'am. Now I request respected Vice Chancellor, Dr. Muthaman Shelvan, to welcome our Chief Guest, Mr. Vasudevan, with a fruit basket. I request Lieutenant Colonel Dr. A. Ravi Kumar Pro, Vice Chancellor of Medical, to felicitate Dr. Sultan Khalifa Harun Al Rashid. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. On that note, I welcome Dr. C. Muthamal Shelvan, the Vice Chancellor of SRM IST, to deliver the presidential address.
A very good morning to you all. Esteemed Chief Guest for today's program, Mr. P. N. Vasudevan, MD and CEO, Equitas Small Finance Bank, Chennai. Our guest of honor, Dr. Sultan Khalifa, Regional Officer, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Students Program for the Asia Pacific, all the deans and other dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and my dear students and participants. It gives me a great pleasure to participate in the International Conference on Higher Education Institute's Challenges and Solutions for Sustainable Development Goals 2022. I think this is the first international conference arranged on SDGs. Now, if you look back at the term sustainability, this was first coined in the year 1987 by the World Commission on Environment and Development. So from then on, the term caught up with many of us, and everyone talks about sustainable development goals at this point in time. The definition of sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of today without compromising the ability of the future generation that meet their own needs. So that means you are not looking for a solution for the current situation. It should be sustainable, and there should be a scope for the future generation to meet their own needs. Now, if you look closely, there are two important aspects. The first one is sustainability is a process and not a destination. It is not that you start something, you complete it. It is not so. So it's a process and not a destination. And again, if you look further into it, it's a cycle of adaptation, learning, and action. So you cannot miss any of these three. So it's a cycle. You adapt, you learn, then you act. Adapt, learn, act. So this keeps on going, and therefore it is a continuous process, or it is a life cycle. That's the first observation. The second one is about understanding the interconnections between the social, economic, and environmental. These three are very, very important. You cannot isolate one from the other. So if you can think of some positive outcomes from all these three, then that means you are meeting the needs, you are reaching your target. As you all know, in 2015, the United Nations came out with 17 Sustainable Development Goals for the year 2030. Now, this has become very popular, especially during the pandemic, that's 2019 to 2021. A report from Google says that between 2019 and 2021, there have been a lot of search for the term sustainable development. And year on year, there was an increase of 30%. Now, actually, they were trying to come out of this pandemic by understanding what is sustainable development. That's the meaning of it. And about 80% of them have said that's because of the pandemic I happened to search for what is sustainable development. Now, in September 2022, the UN Secretary General in the General Assembly said that even the most fundamental goals like poverty, hunger and education are going into reverse. Even the fundamental thing is going into reverse. So this statement was made by none other than the UN Secretary General in September 2022. That's where we are, but we are supposed to reach our target by 2030. Now, what are we supposed to do and what is SRM doing? Now, in my opinion, the concept of sustainable development goals should start from the school education itself. One cannot wait until the college education or the individual to learn on their own. So if we can think of bringing some concepts of sustainable development goals at the school level itself, then there will be a lot of awareness created and then we can move forward with all those things. Now when you come to university, it need not be the same thing that has been taught in the school. One of the biggest challenge that we are facing today is the climate action, Sustainable Goal 13. So everything revolves around this climate change. So if you are not able to reduce the rise in temperature, that means there will be a lot of repercussions. Then the next one is, probably you can think of asking some questions on climate change in the admission tests of the university, so that students are aware of what is climate change. That can be one another thing. Then the other thing is, a lot of carbon emission is taking place and everyone was trying to control. A few years ago, there was a communication from the governments that the officers should use pooled transport and individual cars will not be given. Maybe that is for reducing the cost, but the purpose is different now. And few years back, Delhi government has also given instruction like that. But when I happened to visit China about 10 years ago, that may be again because of the traffic, they said that on a particular day, only the odd registration numbers of cars can ply on the road. Even if you go to Singapore today, they have two number plates. One is a red number plate that can be used from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Those things are used for reducing the traffic, but we can extend that concept to reduce the carbon emission also. SDGs should be related to the curriculum. The next one is, if you say that that is something extra one has to study, it will be only for studying and nothing beyond that. So each and every concept should be embedded into the curriculum. All the students will be doing their project work at some point in time, maybe second year, a minor project, or a third year full-time project, or fourth year. Now, each of these projects should be linked to any one of the Sustainable Development Goals. So if you work towards that, then obviously a lot of awareness will be created. We all talk about outcome-based education. So if you happen to study this course, what will be the outcome? What is the course outcome of that? So if you can identify one or two areas where it can directly address a couple of SDGs, that will be a good thing. The other aspect is, okay, it's a problem. Who has to solve this? Everybody will think that it is somebody's problem, so they will be solved it. But it is every one of us' problem. It is not somebody's problem. So every one of us should come together and work on these Sustainable Development Goals. Now, since the announcement of SDGs in 2015, more number of companies have participated in the process and they are using their CSR funds for creating a lot of awareness and working on the SDGs. Likewise, the institutions should also work on those areas. We conduct a conference like this. We conduct a project expo during the final year, why not we think of annual SDG week to bring the latest sustainability practices on campus? So that can be one another area that can be explored. Now, green campus, once you enter into the campus, if you find that the campus is green, that means they are moving towards the Sustainable Development Goals. The literature says that over 1,000 universities across the globe have pledged to half their emission by 2030 or reach net zero by 2050. So SRM should also work towards that, and we should try to reduce the carbon emission by 50% by 2030 and net zero by 2050. I request the team to work on the process. Before I conclude, some of the activities that we do at SRM which are aligned to this Sustainable Development Goals are: we are planning to have an exclusive canteen for traditional foods. 5 wellness centers are in place. Yoga and sports are made compulsory during their course of study. A number of SDGs are included in the curriculum. 30% of our students and 50% of our employees are female. We want to raise this 30% of female students to 40% by 2030. 7 million liters of water per day is treated and recycled, that is used for plants. 95% of the fluorescent lamps are replaced by LED lights. Replacing old air conditioners with star-rated air conditioners are in process. 1 megawatt hour solar power and solar reflectors are used for cooking. Battery operated cars are available. We want to have more and more number of battery operated cars. Whenever we happen to construct a new building, it will be LEED certified building henceforth. 30% of our campus is green cover. By 2030, it should be 50%. As on date, we have 22,000 trees in the campus, 22 rainwater harvesting pits, and we are also going to focus on permitting students for internship with organizations working on SDGs. All along, we have been sending them only to the industry. Now we want to send them to organizations working on SDGs. And finally, every year we happen to sanction some grant for research work. Now, if your research work happens to align with any of the SDGs, then priority will be given. So these are the 15 action points that we are working on, and we hope to improve in all these areas. I wish the conference the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your marvelous words. This is my privilege to introduce Mr. P.N. Vasudevan. He is the MD and CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank, Chennai. He started Equitas in 2007 as a microfinance institution and later diversified into retail lending, addressing the segments that are not effectively addressed by other mainstream lenders. In 2005, Equitas received an in-principle license from the RBI to convert into a bank, and Equitas became a bank. Now, I would like Mr. Vasudevan to address the gathering.
Good morning to all of you. I have to start with an apology. I was a few minutes late. Please do pardon me for that. My respectful my respects to all the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, and all the friends that I see in the audience here. Thank you so much for inviting me. When Professor Bhaskar spoke to me, inviting me for this program, initially I was very reluctant. I said, what do I do? I am a banker, I'm running a bank. What do I do in a college? And I don't have any role to play in a college function. So I was quite reluctant. But when he told me that the theme of this conference is the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, then I said, please do invite me. I'll be more than happy to come, because this is something very close to our hearts at Equitas. So as you all know, the SDGs were framed by the United Nations with more than 160 countries participating in the year 2015, and they set out goals to be achieved by 2030, which is a 15-year goal, on a variety of factors meant to address poverty alleviation across the globe. And each country has taken goals which are different from each other because of the base level from where they start. So India is also one of the signatories to that, and I'm sure the governments have been doing a lot of work to try and move the the base level of quality standard of living of the people to a next level. If you look at the word poverty and you go back to the independence, 1947, India was in utter poverty. Utter means utter poverty. I think probably 70-80% of the population was living below the poverty lines during the independence time. And from there, we have made a lot of progress. We have made an extremely good amount of progress as a nation over the last 75 odd years. But the theme still continues. Even after 75 years of so much of effort, we are still talking of how to alleviate or how to remove poverty or how to reduce poverty, which means that it's really not gone away from our midst. Long back, when I say long back, before 90% of the people in this room were born, Congress in one of their election manifestos said, Garibi Hatao. That was the election manifesto, Garibi Hatao. Right. And today we are still talking of Garibi Hatao. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. And there are people who are saying that India is going to be larger than China in terms of population a few years down the line. So if we become the most populous country in the world and we have a level of poverty which is at our current levels, then you can imagine the size of the problem. And given that size of the problem, the size of the solution has to also be extremely large to be able to address that problem. Over the years, the governments have come with a lot of programs. You know that MNREGA scheme, the Prime Minister Awas Yojana scheme, the pushcart vendors credit guarantee scheme, the Tamil Nadu, street vendors act, under which they have created a corpus to help the most marginalized urban poor people. So all kind of schemes have been coming from the governments, and they have been having their effect. So there are a lot of people who have been benefiting from that. But at the end of it, about 7 or 8 years back, when the government did a survey, and they just tried to figure out the level of poverty in India, and they pegged $1.25 per family per day as a income standard to declare that family to be above the poverty line. And with that standard of $1.25, about 27% of Indian population was declared to be under the poverty line about 7-8 years back. And if you move that $1.25 by a very marginal amount to $1.35, just 10 cents more, 55% of Indians go below poverty. So that's a real, situation in India today. That's a real situation in India. Whatever be the definitions and whatever be the statistics, almost 50 to 60% of Indians even today are not getting the quality of life minimum that every human being requires. So that's the size of the problem. So what are we doing about it? So we are part of this SDG program as a country. And in 2020, the United Nations released a ranking of all the countries on their achievement towards their SDG programs. And India came at 117 out of about 160 odd countries. After the pandemic, 2020 to 2022, there's a fresh ranking and we slipped to 122. So we slipped by another 6 points in the ranking post the pandemic. And that's of course understandable because the pandemic has had a very bad effect on livelihood of people, and a significantly large number, millions of people have actually slipped into poverty because of the pandemic. And so overall at the country level we also slipped. So there is a small story, I'm sure many of you may have heard of this. You know, there was a time when millions of oysters were washed ashore from the sea onto the sands. And there was this one person standing there and diligently picking up one oyster at a time and throwing it back into the sea. So a passerby was passing and he told that person, you know, do you think what you are doing is really of any use? There are millions of oysters out here on the sand. What's the use of you throwing one oyster at a time, and how much are you going to really help or save? So that person picked up one more oyster and said, I don't know whether I can be of effect or use to all the millions of oysters, but I know that I'm going to make a whole lot of a difference to this one oyster, and he threw it back into the sea, right? So the size of the problem in India on poverty is, as I mentioned, very large. So what are we going to do about it? We are going to vote once in 5 years and then get back to our life expecting that the government that we voted is going to solve this problem. That's what we do, mostly. But that's not enough. So all of us need to be like that man on the sea front, on the beach. All of us need to be like that person. Can we do that one small step? Can we help one person? If you helped one person, that's more than enough. At least that one person has benefited and moves out of the, has a better quality of life. So this topic of SDG is very dear to us in Equitas. We do a lot of work on the various goals of SDG. We run 8 schools. They're called Equitas Gurukul Matriculation Schools. Meant only for children from families whose annual income is less than 2 lakh rupees. So we only select those kind of children. So we have about 8,000 odd children studying in the schools, where we provide them high quality English medium education, and we have a lot of heartwarming stories of how those people graduate and have landed into pretty decent earning jobs. In fact, the one story which continues to move me even today is that our Trichy school, when we are building it, there was one lady who was the helper to the mason. They take it in their head, the sand and the cement. Her daughter, we admitted in our school after the school was ready, and she became an ayah in the school itself when the school was completed. And that girl passed out 12th about 4 years back with 92%. And that girl today is working in AC Nielsen. She got a campus recruitment from Infosys, from TCS and AC Nielsen, and she is now working in AC Nielsen at about 40,000 rupees a month. So we have a lot of heartwarming stories from our schools. We also have a tie-up with about 900 hospitals across the country where we conduct primary medical camps. More than 8 million people have benefited so far. We do job fairs. Over about 700,000 people have been placed into jobs. We give skill training. Almost 1 million people have benefited from our skill training. We do payment rehabilitation program where people living on the payments, we pick them and we put them into a house. We pay the rent on their behalf. We skill them, ensure that they become sustainable and pay the rent after the 7th month on their own. So we do a lot of work. But at the end of the day, whatever we do, if you compare it to the size of the problem that we know exists, we are like that man on the beach. We are like that man on the beach. We are throwing one pebble, one oyster at a time. And I know that we are not going to change anything in the country. I know that we are not going to have any effect at a serious level. But the question is that someone like SRM. Now SRM is not like Equitas. SRM is a large institution. SRM is, has a reputation. You people have a clout, and you have a reputation, and you have the size. So when an institute or a university like SRM gets into things like SDG, that's really heartwarming to a lot of us, because we believe that people like you, when you get into this kind of themes, you can make a big change in the environment. You can make a big change in the whole, setup. So my request to SRM University would be to please use this conference as a launching pad or a launching platform to see how do you mobilize opinion, how do you mobilize the resources, both the government and the private sector. How can you use your research wings and your research scholars? How can you use them to create, a partnership model between the governments who are desperate to do a lot of good for the people and organizations like ours who are equally, desperate to do good for others? How can we create a model of co-working between these two, organs of the society? So can SRM really work on creating that kind of models, popularizing them, canvassing them, and getting the governments to hear it, getting the private sector to hear it? I think that'll be wonderful, and that will really make the day for most of us that an institute or a university like SRM can bring about a significant change. And at an individual level, what can we do? Is the next question. Yes, you people are all privileged. The entire population sitting in this room, you are very privileged because you are going to have a great career and you are going to have a great life. There's no doubt. You are studying in a very reputed, respected institution, and from here when you exit this institute, you are going to be picked up by the who's and who's of the private sector and the governments, and you are going to have a great life. No doubt on that. At an individual level, what can you do? So you can always take a decision that, when I earn lot of money, I will contribute. But we don't need lots of money. Whatever you have, whatever you start earning, even at the earliest point of your career when you start earning, see if you can just set aside a very small percentage of that to help anyone and everyone around you. And if each one of you can pledge yourself to do that, and if the university where you are studying can create a larger mega platform of partnership between the various organs of the society, I think this conference would have achieved a tremendous goal which may not be possible by most other people. So with that, I thank you so much for inviting me again and wishing the conference all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the inspiring words, sir. Your analogy of the oysters made it easier for us to understand the concept of sustainable development. I am now enthralled to introduce the guest of honor, Dr. Sultan Khalifa Harun al-Rashid. He is a regional officer of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Students Program for the Asia Pacific. He is a co-founder of Highline Digital Private Limited, a potential cybersecurity company that could resolve major cyber-related vulnerabilities. He is the recipient of Australian government's Global Distinguished Talent Award for the contribution to the field of medical technology. And he has also invented a low-cost oxygen concentrator from uselessly overthrown materials. Sir, I request you to give a special address.
எங்கள் வாழ்வும் எங்கள் வளமும் மங்காத தமிழ் என்று சங்கே முழங்கு. Honorable Dr. Satyanarayanan, the Pro Vice Chancellor of SRM University, Honorable Dr. Muttamil Selvan, the Vice Chancellor of SRM University, Mr. P.N. Vasudevan, MD and CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank, Chennai, Lieutenant Colonel Ravi Kumar, Pro Vice Chancellor, Medical SRM University, Dr. S. Ponnusamy, Registrar Sir, Dr. Kanta Devi Arnachalam, Madam, Dean, Center for Environmental and Nuclear Research, faculty members, deans, and all my dear friends. You have no idea how it feels to be here for me, because few years ago, I wanted to secure an admission here for my bachelor degree. It's an overwhelming joy for me to come here back again as a guest of honor, and thank you so much for this incredible honor. While I was introduced, there were few significant points that were not being told, but I would like to explain that to you. I have the privilege of studying at Anna University, National University of Singapore, University of California, Berkeley, Imperial College London, King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, and finally I finished my PhD at RMIT University, Melbourne, Australia, where I developed a low-cost device that can diagnose diabetes and breast cancer from human breath. This is when I was given the most prestigious Australia's Global Distinguished Talent Award and a residency to live in Australia forever. Apart from that, in 2017, I won the Victorian Public Speaking Championship. I used to constantly compete with the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Ms. J. Jayalalitha. You know, I used to tell myself one day I want to speak English better than her. And I don't know if I have achieved, but winning that public speaking championship of Victoria was one significant milestone in my life that I can speak English. Beyond all of that, I'm an islander. I'm from Rameshwaram. My house is 4 houses away from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And my mother, who's the one who always told me, you know, if a neighbor can achieve, why don't you? And my friends, this is the same question I have for all of you. If Dr. Kalam can achieve, if Dr. Kalaignar can achieve, if a little boy like me can achieve, why not you? We all have that power and courage to achieve so. Now I come back to my speech that I wrote last night after coming back from Sharm el-Sheikh attending COP27 at Egypt. Let me get straight to the point. In 2011, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, has said that it is clear that human activities are the root cause for global warming and further the climate change. It is clear the human influence have warmed the atmosphere and ocean and land. What is global warming, by the way? We have released tons and tons of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases, which has formed a thick layer of greenhouse gas that has trapped the heat from the sun on the surface of the earth. In simple words, global warming is actor Silambarasan / Simbu wearing 5 thick jean jackets in the middle of a summer day on Mount Road, where he can only afford to wear a cotton shirt. When the earth's surface and the surface of the water is hot, we all are in trouble. That's what we are experiencing today. There's no place in this earth is free from the impacts of global warming. Every region of the planet is already experiencing or will experientially increase climate change, rise in sea level, high temperature across the globe, salination of fresh water, particulate matter, air pollution, and the most basic implications. Decrease in permafrost, glaciers, ice sheets, Arctic Sea. Global warming can impact everything from intensification of tropical cyclones, extratropical cyclones, flood in some areas and drought in other, and increased overall rainfall in some areas, and increased dryness and erosion in other part of the world. All these effects will only extend agriculture. All these effects will vanish agriculture. Already more than 10% of the world population remains undernourished, and the food shortages are likely to affect the poorer parts of the world. That's Asia and Africa. The food shortages could increase cross-border migration, and the government's already getting cruel towards immigration policies. You know, it's very difficult for one person to come into other country for food or for livelihood. Even it is very intolerant between the states. When someone from the northern part of the same country come to Tamil Nadu, we are very intolerant. And this is the same case. When someone from Tamil Nadu goes to other part of India, people are very intolerant. So now we have to imagine how the countries will deal with this. With an increase in drastic weather condition, lung, heart-related disease, environmental allergies, waterborne disease, respiratory disease, maternal newborn sufferings, vector-borne disease, nutrition disease will become pervasive. Very simple example. Like I said, wear 5 jackets in a hot summer day in May of Tamil Nadu and walk around the streets of Mount Road, imagine what you will experience. You know, the mental problems related to climate change is going to be very pervasive. Now it's the time for all of us to think, how are we going to deal with that? My friends, all I speak about is human lives. Now the most important question, what about the birds, insects, and animals on planet Earth? Don't they deserve to live in this planet? Just because we are superior, we can speak, we can invent, are we not destroying their life? Don't they have families? Is a very important question, my friends, we all have to think. On the top of all the atrocities, we are cutting trees. Rather, we should be planting more trees to create carbon sink across the globe. I don't have to elaborate these things anymore. Bushfires are raging across the continent, where the tropical forests are burning in Indonesia, Turkey, Amazon forest, and Brazil. In India, where we come from, droughts are decimating agriculture. Where there is water, it is unusable thanks to all the industrial pollutants. You know, you go by Yamuna River, you go by some of the rivers in Tamil Nadu, it's all polluted. So one side there is no water, and the other side where there is water, it is being completely polluted. Arctic and Greenland ice sheets are melting decades ahead of scientific projections. Some of the beautiful islands are already sinking. They say Maldives is sinking, my friends. They say Rameshwaram will sink in 2060. Kanyakumari is already in the verge of sinking. Who is responsible for all of this? Government, policy makers, industries, academia, or who is actually responsible for this? Long story short, my friends, we all are responsible. What we consume is what is catered to us. In other words, what is catered to us is the effect of what we did. I'm not here to blame anybody. I'm here to seek compassion for planet Earth. I'm here to seek cooperation for better tomorrow. I'm here to talk about the rights of our ecosystem. My brothers and sisters, we all want peace and blessings for each other. And what is our role in creating that peace and blessings? I come to academia, an organization like SRM. We have to get very intense in researching in areas where we could help the planet. Microplastics in the ocean, carbon capture and neutralization, eradication of genetically modified food, dealing with recycling plastic, finding alternatives to one-time use plastic, alternative energy production techniques to reach net zero emission to keep atmospheric temperature less than 1.5 degrees as agreed in the Paris Agreement. My friends, do not trust when people say net zero. You know, it's all fancy stories blabbered by people at power. Net zero is impossible and noted down, but we all have to do how much emission we are doing to the planet. Individual action is going to speak much louder than the actions from the government and the policy makers. Keep this in mind and remind us of you every single day. Let me rephrase it again. We need technologies to reduce carbon emission to keep the atmospheric temperature less than 1.5 degrees. I may sound simple like making a dosa in our kitchen this morning, but this is possible one day. In academia, our jobs is not to end published papers and file patents. We should try to get closer to the truth in telling the world what global warming is. We need to do realistic research and do not make our publications barely intellectual trash. We need to do research in the area where we can instantly and immediately contribute to the world. When journalism and science practiced in the highest standard rooted with truth and fairness, it can break the mental shackles of people, politicians, policy makers, government, and world leaders. We need is a resolution, my friends. We need to take this communication to schools, colleges, even to someone who sells vegetables on the road on the implications of global warming on agriculture. What little girl, Greta Thunberg, she's not a little girl anymore, she's 19 years old now, and she denied coming to COP27 this year. telling that this is just a high-profile corporate event which is sponsored by Coca-Cola, and I do not want to be a part of this mess. And this was the feeling we all got being in a place like that. What I'm trying to tell you again is individual action. What Greta Thunberg has achieved is something not many politicians or government was not able to achieve in the past 30 years. In a gentle way, she shake the world, like Gandhi said. We already know how to tackle climate change. Climate change is not rocket science, my friend. We need to have real workable technologies which is already existing, and we need to work on creating one. We need to bring the usage of fossil fuels as much we can. We need to use artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques in a most appropriate way that can help climate change. Rather than building video games, virtual reality, augmented reality, it is important that machine learning and artificial intelligence are put in place with tackling climate change and sustainable development goals. Moreover, as a human race, let's embark a behavioral change. This change is the most urgent need that we need to bring on each and everybody's life. You know how hypocritical of me speaking about climate change and sustainable development goals, and I'm still drinking a bottle of water from a one-time use plastic. Imagine this entire auditorium throw one single bottle of plastic every day. It's a humongous amount of waste. And who is going to deal with that? So the government will deal with that, the municipality will deal with that. And what is our responsibility when we throw trash and demand the government to take it off? My friends, we all need to think about it. And finally, let me finish with a very small story. There was a majestic king. He had a very skillful, obedient, and a fierce elephant. And everywhere the elephant went, it came only victorious. And the king had a very personal relationship with that elephant. One day, he took the elephant and walked by the river, and the elephant started falling into the mud, and it started to sink. The king was very concerned, and the entire people know how much the king is concerned. So the entire kingdom came on the river bank trying to help the elephant, but nobody was able to help. Then the king called the minister, one of his vice ministers, and asked for a suggestion. He said, immediately ring the drums of war. When the elephant, who was so victorious, who smashed thousands and hundreds of people in a war, started hearing the drums of war and started slowly rising with power, and it immediately came out of the mud, and the king was very happy. My friends, the elephant is us, we all of us. And a conference like this, Sustainable Development Goals, or the drums. We need to beat it every single day, tell each other of the roles and responsibility we all have in contributing back to the world. Today, I'm here to ask compassion. I'm here to ask peace and blessings, not just for human beings. I'm here to ask compassion and blessings and support for our children, our children's children, and their children. And not just human beings, the emperor penguins, the ringed seals, the Arctic fox, the blue whale, the orange clownfish, the koala bears, the leatherbug turtles, the flamingos, and the musk ox. And finally, the Arctic polar bears, which they say they are going to extinct in another 10 years' time. I seek compassion and blessings. Anbirkum undo adaikum tal, anbirkum undu adaikum tal, ஆரவர் புன்கண்ணீர் பூசல் தரும் அன்பில்லார் எல்லாம் தமக்குயர் அன்புடையார் என்றும் உரியர் பிறர்க்கு நன்றி.
Thank you, sir, for taking time from your busy schedule to be our guest speaker today. Your presence and wise word helped magnify our cause in the best possible way. All thanks to your enlightening words that inspired everyone in this session. Now I call upon stage Lieutenant Colonel Dr. A. Ravi Kumar, Pro Vice Chancellor of Medical, to felicitate the gathering.
Good morning, respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Muttamil, Chief Guest Dr. Vasudevan, Dr. Sultan Rashid, Dr. Kantha, Dr. Padma, members of the faculty, deans, directors, and my dear students. I do not know where to begin. After such an inspirational speech, whatever I say will go down the drain. However, one of the duties in this particular position that I hold, I have to talk, and unfortunately you have to listen. I'll make it short and sweet. This particular SDG which we have taken up for our discussion is health related. I will just start by recounting my personal experience over the last 68 odd years. I was born in Chennai, middle class family. My parents were teachers. And then we lived in a rented, those days it was not called a flat, it was a rented portion of a house. And we could open the water tap and drink water supplied by the then municipal corporation. The only precaution we took was we tied one clean muslin cloth onto the tap so that it could filter off any pieces of metal or whatever could come from the tap itself, because the taps are not made of plastic. They are made of either anodized metal, if you can't afford it, otherwise brass. That was the Chennai, that was the Madras which I grew up in. We did not have to wear masks. We did not have to go and clean our hands with sanitizers. But we followed some norms, some rules. Namely, we would leave our footwear outside the house. We would clean our feet before we entered the house. We would use reusable mats, and we would use clothes which are comfortable for the climate. As they said in Tamil, Kandayanalam Kasaki Katte, which meant that we had to wash our clothes ourselves. That was the state of affairs in the 50s and 60s. Suddenly we found people coming from other nations, or our own people who have come back from staying abroad, bringing in a lot of plastics into the country. The chemical engineering, chemical industry grew, and a lot of fancy objects, including decorative items, utility items, came into the daily life of individuals in this country. It was much more attractive and cheaper. So the behavioral change happened. And the next generation grew up with more plastics, more non-biodegradable substances added to the problem. Population explosion, lack of awareness, call it what you may. But nobody cared, because the commercial forces that are operating, they actually took center stage and affected the behavioral change. Now come back to 2000 20, when the pandemic struck us, how scared people became, that they were confined to their home. They are not even willing to meet each other. Everything was done to avoid, to protect. But after letting in all the toxins, including the virus, how do we escape getting the infection? But then it revealed one thing. Human beings, to effect a behavioral change, you need a real big shocker, what they call as a disruption in management terms. Disruption happened with the virus. The way we live, the way we communicate, the way we move around, everything was influenced by the COVID-19 pandemic. And now it's a wake-up call for all of us. As my previous illustrious speaker motivationally, he spoke and he enlightened us about what's happening at the world level. But at the local, regional level, what we could do is go back to our ways of clean living, healthy living, eating healthy food, practicing a healthy lifestyle, and trying to care for each other. Now, as a student, we did not have even a psychologist in our school or our college. We did not even know the word stress existed. But now everybody is stressed. The more you want to achieve something or more you want to show off, the stress level increases. It is all in your mind. So among all the well-beings, to be healthy, I think mental well-being is most important. And I really appreciate the work being done in this institution for establishing wellness centers. But my dear students, wellness does not have to be taught. It's supposed to be coming from within. As the definition by WHO about health states, it's a state of well-being. You have to think you're all right. If you think so, you will be better. Otherwise, you would still be always ill. To end, I recount another small example. We all know that India has got a distinction of being one of the most polluted countries in the world. It became a blessing in a way because we were able to handle the pandemic better. We already used many viruses, so this one could not damage us that much. But it did damage. I, because of my background in the services, have lived in various parts of this country. And last year, I happened to go to Delhi in the month of November, exactly 12 months ago. Can you believe it? That the apartment in which my friend was residing, where I was put up, had a air purifier 24/7. And for 3 days when I stayed there in Delhi, I could not see the sun because the whole place was covered with smog. And I recall my memory of living in the same city in the late 80s and early 90s. And November was probably one of the best months to live in Delhi. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a wake-up call. It has actually happened. We are causing all the damage and trying to find a cure. Whereas it's better we try to avoid getting into a mess, and that is why I insisted that the younger students should be attending this particular program, because you are going to make the change. We have aged and we are not in a, we might look as though we are in a position of strength, but we are not. You are the real strength and you have to make the change. Whether it is question of living well, avoiding pollution, avoiding pollutants, as they say, reduce, reuse, recycle, do all those things and make this world a better place to live. That is the message which they wanted to give. And the important point in these UN SDGs is sustainable goals. It's not a one-time event. It has to be sustained. And if it gets sustained, it will benefit you and your family and your progeny. It is forever. So that's the message I wanted to give you, and I really thank the organizers, Dr. Kanta, Dr. Padma and the team for doing a great job, and I wish the function all success and this particular program a grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you for felicitating the gathering, sir. Now I request respected Vice Chancellor Dr. C. Muthamul Shelvan to give away the mementos to Dr. P.N. Vasudevan. I request Lieutenant Colonel Dr. A. Ravikumar, Pro Vice Chancellor of Medical, to give away the mementos to Dr. Sultan Khalifa Harun al-Rashid. Now I request Dr. Paromita Chakraborty to give away the vote of thanks.
Hello, everyone. No duty is more urgent than of returning thanks. It's my privilege and honor to deliver the vote of thanks for the inaugural ceremony of the International Conference on Higher Education Institutes, Challenges and Solutions for Sustainable Development Goals 2022. Since it's for Sustainable Development Goals, from the bottom of my heart, I thank the Mother Earth for which we are here today. Firstly, I'm very grateful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor C. Muthamul Shelvan, under whose leadership we got the idea of sustainable development seeded deeply in our minds at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for being here with us today. I'm thankful to Mr. P.N. Vasudevan, MD and CEO of Equitas Small Finance Bank, Chennai, for gracing this occasion and imparting the inaugural address to the August gathering. Equitas is contributing to a great extent, and thank you for letting us know that, and we hope to collaborate more with you in the near future. On behalf of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, I express heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Sultan Khalifa Harun al-Rashid, Regional Officer for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Student Program for the Asia Pacific. We appreciate you for taking time from your busy schedule and being here with us for the inauguration. I strongly believe, that the powerful address that you have given has infected all of us, and especially the young minds sitting here. Next, I humbly thank the Pro Vice Chancellor Medical, SRMIST, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. A. Ravi Kumar, for felicitating our special guest of this event and for his enlightening speech. Subsequently, I extend my gratitude to Dr. Padma Venkat, Dean, School of Public Health, for bringing out the UWP digital platform. I acknowledge and appreciate Dr. Subhashree Natarajan, Dean, College of Management, for extending a warm welcome. A sincere thanks to Dr. Kanta Arunachalam, the overall convener and the organizing committee for planning and organizing this mega event. Hearty thanks to all the SDG conveners. Dr. J. Lalita Shri, Vice Principal, SRM Institute of Hotel Management, Dr. Padma Venkat, Dean School of Public Health, Dr. A. Duraisamy, Dean School of Sciences and Humanities, Dr. Shanti Prince, Head of the Department, Electronics and Communication Engineering, Dr. K. Vijay Kumar, Head of the Department, Electronics and Electrical Engineering, Dr. Shubhashree Natarajan, Dean, College of Management, Dr. C. Pradeepa, Head of the Department, School of Architecture and Interior Design, Dr. B. Napoleon, Dean Research. I sincerely thank all the co-conveners, all my faculty members and my fellow colleagues, students, scholars, for the tremendous efforts that they have brought in during this event, and we have come to the inaugural day. I thank our media team and all the non-teaching staff members who have helped us all through. Finally, I also thank the national and the international experts, the participants and the sponsors who have been an integral part of this event. And finally, as Shakespeare said, I can no other answer make but thanks and ever thanks to all of you present here for coming together and making this inaugural event a grand success. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
The students are requested to kindly remain seated for a few more minutes. Thank you. Right now, there's going to be the inauguration of the University Wellness Program digital platform.
I kindly request all of you to stay back because there is going to be a launching of the University Wellness Program from School of Public Health, followed by a plenary talk by Dr. Sultan.
A pleasant morning to all. Myself, Soumya, Assistant Professor from Department of Computing Technology, School of Computing. It's my great pleasure in introducing the student team as one of the faculty mentor to guests of honor and dignitaries off the dais and on the dais. The vibrant team has Mr. Vivek and Mr. Atish from 4th year BTech CSC heading the team along with 6 other members. And on behalf of the team, we would like to thank Dr. Padma Vengat ma'am from School of Public Health and Dr. Puvamal ma'am from School of Computing for giving us the opportunity and mentoring us in developing the UWP platform, hoping it serves the institute and the stakeholders to its best. Thank you once again. Now I call upon Ms. Abhaya and Mr. Vivek to give an overview on the UWP platform.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm truly delighted to welcome you all here today. And I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to present the launch of digital platform for University Wellness Program. I, Abhaya Yadav, postgraduate student from School of Public Health, will be giving you a brief introduction about University Wellness Program. And Vivek, who is a final year student from School of Computing, will tell you about how they have created a digital platform for UWP. This presentation is made by us on behalf of all the faculty and students of SPH and CSE and our seniors who have worked on previously on UWP and UWP digital platform. Coming to the background, let me start a brief introduction about background. As we all are aware, climate change has been one of the greatest challenges of our times. Impact of climate change, planetary health changes are not only significant on human health, but on our overall wellness and sustainability. There has been drastic changes in diet and lifestyles and increasing social demands among university students. There has been notable deterioration in the mental health and physical health as well. Moreover, inadequate job readiness and leadership in Indian university students have been a major concern, and considering these main reasons, a university would be an ideal place to implement a university wellness program. Coming to what is UWP, University Wellness Program being a new concept to Indian universities, it is a novel program that addresses wellness and sustainability needs on university campuses, and it is an experiential student learning platform which was launched on 12th of November 2019 by SRM SPH. It leverages academic modules to achieve campus wellness and sustainability through students' active participation and learning. This is how University Wellness Program was started. It was This is how University Wellness Program was started. The conceptualization and design was formulated by Dr. Padma Venkat, who is Dean of School of Public Health, and planning and training was conducted by faculty of SPH. The implementation was conducted by UG and PG students of SPH. Aim of UWP is that with university wellness, we achieve universal wellness and through research and action by students. Coming to the strategy part, which is used to integrate university wellness program into the university system, it involves buying in from stakeholders involving students, faculty members, etc., then defining objectives, designing cross-curricular projects, and planning, training, implementing, and evaluating. This is a brief process of UWP, which involves prioritizing key campus needs specific to university wellness and sustainability, then setting clear project objectives and deliverables, deciding the nature of project and the methodology, integrating with theoretical modules of ongoing programs, and learning by doing and achieving the set aims. And last but not least, evaluation of students who have been learning through this program. This is a good example of UWP project. As you all can see on the screen, this logo was developed by first-year MPA students from 2019 batch. This was the formal launch. Another example of UWP project, as you can see on the screen, under research methodology module, we SPH students have learned qualitative research methods, and we have identified key 4 thematic issues, which are mental well-being, diet and lifestyle, WASH, which is water, sanitation and hygiene, and climate change. These are some of the action-oriented UWP projects which have been executed by students and faculty by spreading awareness, research and action on campus and in UBA villages. This is what we have learned so far. We have learned about the importance of wellness, sustainability, and sustainable developmental goals, power of students and collaboration, inclusivity of all students in the university setting, appreciation of nature, and we have also learned about leadership. These are coming to the expected outputs throughout the time for UWP. It has been classified into physical outputs, technical and soft impacts, societal impacts. In physical outputs, all kinds of events on campuses are included, research publications, etc. Then technical and soft impact includes leadership and teams and enhanced sensitivity and capacity. It also involves better systems and processes. In societal impact, we have included sustainable wellness and environment on campus, which has a multiplier effect on a societal level. As a university wellness program, an interdisciplinary collaborative effort has been put forth between School of Public Health and School of Computing to develop a digital system to retrieve and archive UWP projects, and we will also be creating UWP dashboard to monitor the progress of SRM's wellness and sustainability. Next session will be conducted by Vivek, who will be talking about how they have created UWP dashboard. Over to you, Vivek. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhya. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivek. I'm a 4th-year BTech student. And today, first and foremost, I would like to state that the entire world is working on sustainability, and SRM also wants to contribute to it. That's why School of Public Health came up with an idea for measuring our university's wellness, as other foreign universities were also doing the same thing. So, we CTech department collaborated with School of Public Health and developed a portal which will help us act as a repository for every milestone we achieve in university in fields of well-being. Coming to next slide. So why do we need this? What is the benefit for this, and how is it going to benefit us as a university? So first and foremost, it will help us create an online presence in the campus and help us spread awareness about wellness and sustainability in the campus. Second, it will help us provide faster access to information in the form of newsletter, blogs, and updates. Third, it will help us track the sustainability growth in our campus. So coming to the features of the website. So our website consists of a wide range of features. First being, we have events, blogs, news updates, access management. We have a content management system. So that will help us in managing all the research papers and reports we have on our website. Also, during this project, we learned a different tech stacks building this, and we implemented React, TypeScript, and Node.js for the front-end and back-end part. Apart from that, there's also a chatbot integrated in our website that is built on Python and TensorFlow. Coming to the next part, we have the School of Public Health and faculty team which help in UWP. This is the School of Computing. And for the next part, I would like to call Dr. Prakash sir from SPH to carry forward the session.
Thank you, Vivek and Abhiya. Now, I extend my thanks to each and every one of you for being with us today here. We indeed have the right person here to inaugurate UWP digital platform, developed by students under University Wellness Program. So now I request Dr. Sultan Khalifa Harun Al Rashid, Regional Program Officer, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Students Program for the Asia Pacific region to inaugurate UWP digital platform, sir. Please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you all. The next session will be on plenary talk by Dr. Sultan's presentation.
Good morning, everyone. And for all those who's trying to leave this auditorium, please be seated. I'll make sure that I will not bore you for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Boys and girls, now everybody's running faster when I make this announcement. That's fine. But whomsoever is here, we are here to make a resolution. We are here to learn about some of the fundamental responsibility of us in terms of sustainable development goals and solid waste management. You know, I'm quite fond of speaking Tamil. When I was 8 years old, the first book I read was Mahakavi Bharati's Tamil poems. And I used to be a very fluent Tamil speaker as well when I was young. Still today, I'm trying. So, Sustainable Development Goals is translated in Tamil as Nilayana Abhivriddhi Ilakkugal. This is how we call it as Sustainable Development Goals. Now, bringing trash into it, you know, the solid waste. So my presentation today is how Sustainable Development Goals and solid waste management is related with each other, and we will see a very peculiar examples of me demonstrating it. My friends, do you know what is this bird? Name of this bird? Answers, please. The fetcher bird or the tailor bird. It has multiple different names, but in Tamil we call it Thookanankuruvi. And this Thookanankuruvi, this bird, is a very special bird. You know, it has the same pattern of how arranged marriage happens in India. First, the fetcher bird, the male fetcher bird, builds a nest, and it invites few female birds to come and exhibit the house. Okay? These birds come sit on the house. Only when it like it, it agrees to be a partner to that male bird. So pretty much like our arranged marriage system, and the men are the victim. You know, they ask you whether the boy has a house or not. So the same pattern is for this fetcher bird as well. But that's a joke, my friend. Take it lightly. Where is this concept related to, and where this picture was taken is a most important question. I'm going to show you some pictures of birds, and this is not somewhere from Australia or from Africa or from America. This is somewhere inside Chennai. I want each and every one of you to guess which place probably it could be.
Look at those beautiful birds.
Beautiful blue kingfisher. What is the name of this bird? Flamingos? No, not flamingos. Sorry, this isn't working. Can I have an alternative one? I think the battery is low. Is there an alternative one? Yeah, I'll have the... Okay. You know, when there is no technical problem, it's never a full-fledged program, so we always expect to have it. On that lighter note, I go back to the presentation. So you see all these beautiful birds. Guess where it is? Anyone have an idea? Velachery, some of the expensive corporate companies are around, where we have built some of the high, tall housing condominiums. Any idea, my friends? Yes. Pallikarnai marshland. Pallikarnai marshland is one of the exceptional marshland in the state of Tamil Nadu. It has more than 355 species, 65 migratory birds, 105 native birds, 50 different kinds of fish, 15 different kinds of snakes, 10 different kinds of lizards, 11 amphibians, 10 mammals, 34 butterflies, 20 dragonflies, 8 cockroaches, and 78 planktons. This very rare species, Russell viper, and also the glossy ibis and the other birds. And the Tamil Nadu Forest Ministry say Pallikarnai land is one of the significance of Velachery and Tamil Nadu. Now, my friend, cross the road. Just cross the road. What do you see? Any guess? The Perungudi dump yard. It's not even 5 kilometers away. Just cross the road. Yeah? This is the Perungudi dump yard. Now, I want to explain some chemistry. As someone who did PhD only in chemistry, if you see my education background, bachelor's in electronics and communication, and finally ended up doing a PhD in chemistry, and chemistry was the subject that I was not liked in my 12th grade, and it was always very hard for me to memorize those formulas. Then later, I understood there is a purpose in everything we do in our life. I worked very hard on the 12th grade exams and somehow passed the chemistry exams as well. When you dump way too much of waste and it is degradable, there's a process happens. That process called anaerobic degradation. What that process does, these organic materials decompose and start to release carbon dioxide, methane, and other toxic gases, which will add way too much again to the existing global carbon emissions. So what is happening in Pallikaranai, what is happening in Perungudi is an anaerobic decomposition process, and it has a lot of health implications as well. Now what is this? Somewhere near Pallikaranai. This in Australia is very famous for pink lakes. And now we have that in Chennai as well, near Pallikaranai. This is because of the cyanobacteria that is released from the Perungudi dump yard. Now I have another important message for you. We all think this bottled water is very safe. Yeah? How many of you buy bottled waters? Some numbers, please. Everybody? Everybody in Chennai, 100%? Okay. From Pallikaranai, we have a place 6 kilometers. That's where our water sources are taken. Now, a Pallikaranai and Perungudi, which has a lot of heavy metals on it, is something what we are drinking. I know SRM is one of the finest research university in India. Have you ever tested the water that we drink? What sort of heavy metals we have in our water? Please do that. I kindly request, the water research department to get some water across Chennai and test it. Probably we'll find heavy metals. With this condition, can we achieve sustainable development goals? Definitely not. We all call Chennai as Singara Chennai, yeah, with dump yards across, and we also have the plan of extending Chennai now. Now it's Katankulathur will soon become part of Chennai, and it's going to extend. Now we have a dump yard called Pallikaranai. Where is the next dump yard is going to come from? Few kilometers from SRM University probably. And as the city extends, there will be a dump yard here and there. And there is anaerobic degradation. Whenever there is anaerobic degradation, there is an excretion of cyanobacteria. And whenever there is a water body next to a dump yard, naturally the water body gets polluted as well. So my friends, my question to you, can we achieve sustainable development goals? Definitely not. Now let me speak a little bit more about Chennai. I think it's very, very important for us to know. Chennai is a 400 years old city. It was ruled by the Chola dynasty, Pallavas, Pandyas, the British, the Vijayanagar Empire. Everybody has a special interest on Chennai. It was named as Greater Chennai Corporation in 2011 with 426 square kilometers. The population of Chennai today is 11 million, and the floating population of Chennai is another 3 million added. That is, people come into Chennai and go back to their hometowns from different part of India, even different part of the world. We had the chess Olympiad. We had a floating population of 4 lakh people on a single day. And now we have to think how many shampoo sachets they would have used, how many water bottles they would have bought, and how many of them are recycled and how many of them are thrown on the road. Now this is another interesting statistics that was given to me by the Greater Chennai Corporation. The 100% waste of Chennai is split into these modules. If you see, the plastic PET bottles and Tetra bottles, 13%. Inert bottles, 9%. Coconut shells, 7%. Paper, leaf and horticulture, again, add to 9%. My friends, this is a very important number that we all need to be aware of. 14% of Chennai waste is from marriage halls and from education institutions. Education institutions and marriage halls. And what could be the possible waste from an education institution? Paper, plastic PET bottles, clothes, food waste, that add up to 8%. Now there are two official dump yards in Chennai. One is Kodungayur dump yard and the other one is the Perungudi dump yard. The capacity of the Perungudi dump yard is 2,400 metric tons per month. You know what we are dumping every day? 2,400 metric tons per day. You have to compare, you are allowed to fill only 1 liter of water in a bottle per month, but you're filling in 1 liter every single day. Now you can understand how much trash it's been added into the Perungudi dump yard. Okay, now we come to Sustainable Development Goals. Let me compare the 17 Sustainable Development Goals with waste. Number 1 is poverty. You know, a lot of people misinterpret or get confused that poverty and hunger are same. No, my friends. Poverty is lack of respect. Poverty is lack of privilege. Poverty is lack of access. You know what we all have done, just because we come from middle class families and upper middle class families, we throw a lot of trash with no restriction. Especially, we are thrown into some of the indigenous land of Chennai, like Kuvam. People live by Kuvam, or one of those origin people, or one of those indigenous people who are there for 500, 600 years. Now what we did, we all came from across different parts of India or Tamil Nadu and started polluting Kuvam. And we call it as Cherry. You know, the most disrespectful word to label some people. Cherry. I will not repeat it again, my friends. This is building poverty. We have labeled some part of people in a racial term that they come from the slum. Is that not an injustice, my friends? So this is what the first Sustainable Development Goal, poverty. Can we do anything about it? Can we manage our trash? If we can go help them and come out of what really their situation is, give them education, give them food, giving a standard lifestyle is abolishing poverty. I'm just talking about one slum in Chennai called Kuvam. Now we have to go to Mumbai, Calcutta, Africa, South America, where people are labeled like this. Think about it. When we stop throwing trash, certain lifestyle of certain areas will increase. And 1% of the world population make their wealth, make their daily living by picking up trash. When there is no trash on the road, where will they go? What will they pick up? So naturally, trash picking will never be a job again. That's how we can eradicate poverty. Zero hunger. 10% of world's food every day get wasted. 10%, my friends. You know, in my previous speech, I told you that we are already heading for a crisis in agriculture. Agriculture is going to decimate across the globe because the surface of the earth, the surface of the water, the climatic conditions are drastically changing, will decimate only agriculture. There is a future we foresee. There's not a possibility of having much food, and we're already wasting food. If this 10% of the food is being stopped from throwing into the trash, that is a viable contribution towards Sustainable Development Goal. So what can we do about it? SRM University, a hostel, 60,000 students, I believe, studying in this university. And if we can save a lot of food, and if we can control the food waste,
is a proper contribution to solid waste management, is something we all have to think. Good health and well-being. Whenever there's trash, there is rats. The rats are not a dangerous animal. Those parasites that sit on the rats are the most dangerous thing. When we stop wasting food, when we stop throwing trash on the road, we control disease, cholera, malaria, dengue. And that's how we can contribute to good health and well-being. And again, when there is trash, a nearby water body get easily polluted. And what happened? Those plastic will float there. And there's a beautiful term people use, especially I read in the newspapers, they say the plastic creeped into the water body. You know, this is a very funny word. How does it creep? Does it have legs to walk there? No, we throw it. So we have to say we threw plastics. That's the most honest way of approaching it. Now, this plastic will go and degrade, and the inland fish will eat it. Then we will eat the fish. Then we'll eat fish and also plastic. My friends, in 5 years' time, India will become the heart attack capital. In 7 years' time, India will become the breast cancer capital. You know what is going to contribute more to that? The amount of plastic that we all eat. They have already found plastic in blood, microplastics in blood. Now they have found microplastic in the milk of the mother. The breastfeeding child is drinking a little bit of nutrition along with some plastic. What a cruel situation we are heading for. So, when we stop throwing much of plastic, a good health can be definitely implemented. Quality education. You know, we all are here, we all have education. What are we going to do with our education towards sustainable development goals and further solid waste management? They say Tamil Nadu has attained sustainable development goal in terms of higher education. The enrollment of higher education in Tamil Nadu is much higher than United States of America, where the United States stands only 47%, where Tamil Nadu stands 52%. Everybody is an engineer here, everybody is an MBA graduate here, everybody has an MSc. And what have we achieved? What have we achieved with that quality education in reforming one particular problem like solid waste management is an important question. And this is a question I ask each and every one of you. Like my mother asks once in a while, what have you done with your 6th continent of education? How many of them get an opportunity to come to a place like SRM? Is a question I put to each and every one of you, at the same time to the faculties as well. Like the elephant that got struck in the mud, you are the whistleblowers. You got to tell this to your students. Their purpose of education is not to make a beautiful life for themselves, but to give back. This has to come in on an everyday conversation, one or other way. Gender equality. My friends, 65% of people in the sanitary work is women. 65% across the globe. We haven't achieved gender equality in that. And especially you go across the airport, you will see women with blue uniforms sweeping the road at 35 degrees, no matter it rains, storms, whatever happens to the Chennai. Especially a company called Urbasir have appointed all of them. I challenge you, one day put that uniform on, stand for 3 hours. I have tried it. I did a beach cleaning in Australia for several weeks and fell sick. You know, I got sunburn and whatnot. My friend, this is a challenge. We have to think of them. The more waste we throw, we're going to put people on that field to work forever. So this is how gender equality and sustainable development goals come in congregation. Clean water and sanitation, I don't have to elaborate much. The one best example, the more trash you throw into the water bodies, you pollute the flora and fauna, you kill those birds, animals, and fish, and finally we also catch a fish and we eat it. What happens is we eat plastic again. So this is how solid waste management can help Sustainable Development Goal 6. Affordable and clean energy. As much waste that we dug out of, as much fossil fuels that we take out of the earth and we burn it, we pollute the environment, earth, build more and more of greenhouse gases. We need to find a way how much affordable energy can reduce solid waste management. How much waste can be used to produce energy is also now a very debating conversation across the globe. Even in COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, they had this fierce conversation whether waste can be used. Now the same question to you. We all drink water bottles. We ourselves in a crisis of managing that waste. How are we going to make energy from that waste? Are we going to cut the root cause of the problem? Are we going to find solution for that problem? Is a very important question that we all need to ask, which will answer Sustainable Development Goal 7. Sorry. So next slide, please. Okay, decent work and economic growth. Like I said, there's so many people work in sanitary roles across the globe. They are much paid less. When we can have a very standard policy on how we manage our waste, there's a high possibility we give decent work to anybody who cleans. And we all have to clean. Trust me. It is not about keeping our house clean. It is how we keep our road clean. Have we taken any initiative in our life to do so? This is a very important question that we all need to ask ourselves. Only then this Sustainable Development Goal 8 will be addressed. Next slide, please. Solid waste management itself an industry today. The Atal Incubation Mission have opened new schemes to fund startups which works on solid waste management. I kindly insist and request your incubation center to take initiatives to build new technologies or alternative to plastics, or bring some of our indigenous practice back into our life to reduce the amount of plastics. Now everything is a startup. You open a tea stall, startup. You go as a group of 5-10 people to clean beach, it is a social startup. But we haven't really lost the real idea of startups, and a lot of people have misunderstood startups as well, my friend. They think building up apps, selling stuffs in apps is startups. And for everything there's app. Mental health app, pressure monitoring app, you want to talk to your friend app, matrimony services, it is an app that is already existing for a very long time. Everything has become an app. Now my question, we all want mangoes. We can still order mangoes through an app. My question, my friends, where does that mango come from? So we have to build realistic startups that really works on sustainable development goals, agriculture, so that we can actually serve mango to those who order mangoes via an app. Is that clear? So we need to bring more inventions in the field of sustainable development goals as well. Reduced inequalities, I go back to the first sustainable development goals. When a child of a sanitary worker and a child of a district collector and a medical doctor can sit together in a prestigious university. I know your university offers a lot of scholarship, but it has to be equal in number. It has to be more than the rich people getting to education. When we achieve this day, that's when we reduce inequality. And I connect this again back to a life of a sanitary worker. His children should go to Florida to study. His children should go to Oxford to study. This is when we have achieved Sustainable Development Goal number 10. Sustainable cities and communities, Singara, Chennai. Chennai is much better in this rainy season, but there's many other cities in Tamil Nadu and across the globe, especially in the northern part of India. You cross Andhra Pradesh, you all will acknowledge how blessed we are to live in a state like Tamil Nadu, how blessed to be in a state like Kerala, Andhra Pradesh. My friends, I've traveled across the India and I've witnessed how blessed we are to be in a social policy like this. But we want this for everybody. We want this same for our friends in Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir, Delhi, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, the northeastern states of India. And we have to go beyond and speak about Africa, South America, where we have to build sustainable communities, because a lot of people have misunderstood climate change. They all think, nama manjappa use pannita, climate change is taken care of. Not like that. The major three polluters are United States of America, China, and India. We release way too much of carbon dioxide that has built a very dark barrier around planet Earth. And the heat of the sun gets trapped across us. Now, when I talk about planet Earth, it's not just about India or America. Maldives is there, African countries are there, South American countries are there, and there's so many little islands which are countries which we have never heard of in the Pacific Ocean, Antarctic Ocean, Arctic Ocean. They all are sinking. There are already 400 islands in Maldives have sank. So, a click in one part of the world, an action in one part of the world will reverberate across the globe. It's a very important concept we all have failed to acknowledge. So we need to build sustainable communities, or we need to build policies and evolve that as well. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, responsible consumption. Yes, my friends, how many clothes that we buy on an average? Do we practice circular economy? The more trash we buy, we only buy trash. A few years ago, my first mobile phone was a 1100. As a matter of joke, I used to use that as a weapon. Whenever my friends came to fight with me, I used to throw at them. It worked fine. Whenever there was a solid rain, it used to be on the water and still used to work. My mother sometimes used to throw at me. When I used too much of a mobile phone that day, she used to pick it and throw out of the window. It still worked. But today, see the mobile phones. Very vulnerable engineering models, very vulnerable scientific models. Look at the clothes that we buy. Doesn't even last for a year. So, the capitalists know that we will continue to buy. We have already thrown into that mental, cognitive process. And again, within a year, it will break. What we will do? We will throw it. We don't have the habit of stitching. We don't want to reuse it. So what it happens, it all go into the trash. Whose trash? The government's trash. Whose trash? Pallikarnai's trash. Whose trash? Kuvam's trash. Not our trash. So responsible consumption, my friends, not just in terms of clothes, how much air condition that we use, how much electricity that we use is all a collective question we need to think of. Next slide, please. Climate change, what can I say? I think I've said everything and we all know everything. Next slide. Life below water, every single water bottle that you throw is a potential threat to a fish. You know what we did during this corona? 50 billion masks we have thrown into the ocean. 50 billion. And today turtles, fish, dolphins, everybody wear mask in the sea. Some of you might find this funny, not funny at all. Next slide, please. Life on land is already in a miserable state. We are heading only for tougher times, my friends. The world is heading only for tougher times. Write this on a paper. No matter how much peace, justice, how much policies, we are heading for more wars. People want petrol. People want to steal the natural wealth of other nation. People want to steal their own nation's wealth and natural resources. We are heading only for tough times. And if we don't act right now in terms of preserving our Mother Earth, we are heading for a tough times. I just can't imagine, I read a lot about this. Sometimes I go sleepless. What my children will do, what their children will do. It's a question of our existence itself. It's a question of an existence, my friends. Next slide, please. Peace, Justice and Song Institution. What Professor Kanta Devi Madam has done today is an association, bringing everybody from SRM together. I contacted her, ma'am, I would like to come to this event. Her warm communications made me feel so good and prepare a speech that, I don't really sit at midnights and write speech, but I really wanted to write one, is what we have built together. We want to build a peaceful environment, not just for us, also for those people who live by the slums, also for the people who live by the lower economic situations, also for those birds, animals, flora and fauna. So we need to constantly work how to build a peace, justice and environment. And the next slide, partnerships, also say what SRM has done today in bringing people together, delivering a message like this entire conference. Please do not look at this as an ordinary lecture. Never ever. I hope we all take a resolution today. Can I request every one of us to stand here for a minute? Kindly. But you all have to promise sincerely, yeah? Okay. My friends, every time I travel on a flight or a train or a bus or a car, I carry a water bottle with me. Yes, it is plastics. I'm not going to lie that I bought a chromium or a platinum or an aluminium. Yes, it is a plastic water bottle. I refrain from buying water bottles, no matter what the company is. I don't want to name them as well because they will get me in trouble. Please put your hand on your heart and tell me that you all will carry a water bottle with you and secure your water resources around. You will never ever buy a water bottle outside and throw that bottle somewhere across on the road. Will you do this for me? Promise? Just a word promise is enough. Thank you. Thank you. And I truly mean this, my friend. Please have a seat. I truly mean this. Please do this for the sake of, for your own children, few years ago, this, infidelity of not having children is somewhere here and there. But I see a hospital in Ramanathapuram district today, and that hospital is full. It's because of the amount of the pesticides that we eat, the plastics that we are consuming, is making women and men go, without children. This is also something we all have to think of the future. And hate plastics. You have to develop a strong hate against it. I hate it. There were many nights I forgot my water bottle and I've never drank water in trains. Today, when I see a little water bottle, I do not like it. So build that hate against plastics is one viable solution. We can reduce the amount of plastics. Next slide, please. And all the women here, 68% of the waste today that goes to the dump yard or residential waste. The waste that we use in our home every day, the vegetables, the food waste. Now it's not just women. We all men have to be sensible and responsible. It's very easier to say that certain things are women's job. No, nothing is a women's job. There's nothing called a role that is for a woman. The only role is giving birth to a child that a man cannot do. And a man has to stand and support it. And every time, one of my really good friend, I met him that his wife is pregnant, and I asked him, like, how is this entire pregnancy duration for you? He said, she is physically pregnant and I'm mentally pregnant. That's what he said. So it's a responsibility of men as well to support women in every possible way. Next slide. My friend, this is a very nasty image that I found a few years ago. You know, a little dolphin got struck by a plastic ring. You know, it could be a water bottles, or it could be the cans thing, or whatever it is. But this dolphin died in Brazil. You know, are we ready to do this? Will you ever allow our children to tie their mouth for a few minutes? Very difficult. Do we have that heart? But then what about animals? They're like us. Dolphins are most emotional animals, and they care so much for their loved ones. Imagine how much the mother would search for it. And now we are talking about empathy, Tamil culture. We are talking about human rights. It's all get vanished when it comes to another creature that has no representation. It's something we all need to think. Is there a hope? Yes, my friends, you all are the hope. We all are the hope. Every single initiative that each and every one of us do in our life is a little contribution. When this momentum become bigger and bigger and bigger, there is a hope that at least the existence of human race will live a little prosperous life away from solid waste management. Sir, previous slide, yeah. I thank each and every one who organized the conference, the management, the Vice Chancellor, especially Professor Kanta Devi, Madam, for her very warm communications. And all the organizers, I thank each and every one of you for having me here and giving me a platform to deliver this message. I thank you, Madam. I thank you, everyone, for this great opportunity. Next slide, please. My friends, this is my most favorite slide wherever I go. You know, I had the privilege of traveling to 4 different continents in the pursuit of education, and travel across the other 2 continents in the pursuit of conferences and research and education. You know, there's one woman that I will never fail to thank. That is my school principal, Mrs. Nesam Jayasingh, Annal Pakyam Tangaya. It's a little convent in Ramanathapuram district, Swartz matriculation, where my teachers played a very important role in shaping me. You know, as naughty I was, as intelligent as I was too. But they always see through what potential I could become. And this is a role of a teacher. From there, I thank each and every one of them, especially Professor Harry Croto, a Nobel laureate who found the buckyballs. I had an opportunity to interact and work with them very closely at University of California and University of Florida. This man, you know, sparked a fire in me. Me and Harry used to have a lot of, you know, conversations over Indian tea and biryani. Harry said, an education is an utter waste and it has no purpose. Your degrees are merely papers if you have not influenced anybody. This is a very important question we all have to ask ourselves every single day. Yes, I know exams, yes, we write, we get pass, you know, we study half, we leave the rest, we understand some concepts, sometimes we don't understand, we understand it later. It's all okay. But there is a fundamental and a rudimentary core reason for education is to serve. I beg of you to remind each and every one of you every single day. What are you going to do with your education? Yes, we all need to lead a good life. We need money for that. But is that the end? There's much beyond that. There's a purpose of our creation. We all are created for a reason. Please serve that. And I thank each and every one of them for standing with me shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot, during tough times of my education. Next slide, please. And thank you once again. Thank you for this great opportunity. And finally, you can find me on LinkedIn and write to me on my email whenever you need. I thank you all for this great opportunity. Thank you. And if you have one or two questions, I'm happy to answer if you have the time for that. Ma'am, do we have the time? You said? Oh, yeah. Okay, sure. So do write to me on LinkedIn. Definitely, I'm happy to answer all your questions. And thank you, SRM, for this great opportunity. Thank you.
So thank you all for your patience. So now all of you are requested to have your high tea, which is served in the refreshment hall, just in the ground floor of the auditorium. So thank you all. So let's meet again now, another occasion. Thank you.